Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Exposition table. I'm your first host, Joe.
Hey guys, I just got back from the new ruins level, and boy are my arms tired. I'm Dan.
Oh, man, Dan, you're back.
Yeah, I was busy playing Frontiers and I developed a bad Australian accent. And now I have to do it again! Well,
uh,
that was funny stuff.
to those who understand what he was just referencing there, must have been hilarious. To
And
those who didn't,
absolutely no one thought it was funny. And that's why we're doing it.
alright, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I got lost in Frontiers, and if you want to hear more about that, ask us in the comments to talk about my opinions on Frontiers. But here we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about a new hype open world game from a franchise we've been following since we were youngins. Pokemon.
Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, man. At the time we're recording this, it is Tuesday the 15th, which means that Pokemon will be out in only a few days from now. We will be dropping this one, I think, a little early, just so you guys can kind of get a vibe of it, so you can spend more time playing the game. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, because we're gonna be spending basically all day playing the game. At least I am. Uh,
I'll be at work, and then I'll be playing Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah. But yeah, let's how are we feeling? How were we feeling when this was first announced, like that big trailer? When it first got revealed.
I've been kind of leaning towards cautiously optimistic. I'm leaning more optimistic now, but like I don't know. I've been kind of mixed on the games just for the reason that I'm just kind of mixed, a little more skeptical about the series nowadays.
Yeah.
So, column
Like
A, column B in this one.
I definitely don't disagree. For reference, we didn't play Pokemon Legends. My
No.
wife played it. I watched a lot of gameplay. We, know a lot about it, so we understand that that's kind of a big piece of the puzzle that we're gonna be missing out on, contextually. So if it seems like we're a little overly cautious or a little overly nervous about things, it's because just well, we're coming from is Sword and Shield. It was like the
Yeah.
last Pokemon game that we played. And obviously, this is going to be taking a lot of those cues from Arceus. So we're not, ignorant to the fact. It's just what we're used to from the mainline games is going to kind of carry over into our opinions
Yeah.
about what's going to happen with this.
Yeah, take
Uh,
this as the viewpoints of some of people who haven't played Legends Arceus.
yeah. Like, we're fully aware of, like, a lot of the improvements that the game brought and a lot of what's going to be sort of carried over forward into Scarlet and Violet. But for us, the last Pokemon game that we played, well, okay, for you, the last one you played was, like, Sword and Shield. I played Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl,
Yeah.
which isn't really much of anything in the conversation. It's the most vaporware software to ever exist. Yeah, I mean, Scarlet and Violet, I'm actually was pretty. I wasn't sure how to really feel. I think it was because it was also only a couple months after Arceus had come out. So while we knew that the game was getting like well received, we didn't know what we assumed that we assumed that Legends wouldn't have any impact on the main line until probably Gen 10. Like, it'd be like, Gen 10's like the next big one. Like, Gen 9, we kind of
Yeah.
figured it was going to be closer to Sword and Shield in structure. But no, they are going full in on the new improvements and the open worlds, free exploration, free roam,
Yep.
all that stuff that Legends brought forward, which really just shows that Legends was like the testing ground, you know?
Yeah, it's like barely any time between the release of Legends and the announcement of Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's crazy to think that like right? Am I not crazy? Legends came out this year, right?
Yeah, it came out like January/February.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're gonna get two huge Pokemon games the same year. Like two massive titles.
And not
Uh,
even getting over the point that the Diamond Pro remix was just a couple months before that.
like I said, vaporware. Yeah.
Still, like, you're releasing several games this quickly.
Oh, I found it weird last year. They had like 4 Pokemon games, like 4 or 5 SKUs come out. Diamond, Pearl, uh, I think Snap came out last year. So like Pokemon has not been taking a breather. I think didn't Mystery Dungeon? A lot of stuff came out last year basically for Pokemon. It was a busy time.
It
And it's
was
still
rapid
busy.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So Pokemon ain't taking a break, and we know that that's been a big concern with the Pokemon development has been the fear of like rushing out the products and having an inferior product is more evident than I think any other generation. Sword and Shield really suffered from feeling like games that were not finished, feeling just
Yeah.
fundamentally incomplete. You
Yeah.
know,
And it stands out more because in this time period, we're generally used to major franchises releasing their games really slowly.
yeah, it's it's starting to feel like you know it's starting to get some of that issue that a lot of other AAA franchises get on other platforms, like Call of Duties, sports titles, Assassin's Creeds, where it's like we're starting to get these so often that these games, they're just starting to blur together at this point, and they're starting to lose
Yeah.
their impact. I mean, obviously, Pokemon has not been a stranger to releasing new games. There was a time, like, where they were releasing a brand new game every year for like a decade or so. I
Yeah.
distinctly remember what was like 2015 was like the year where a new Pokemon game didn't come out, and it was like, what's going on? Something's wrong here, and something was, but that's a story for another day. Uh,
Yeah. Which is,
rest in peace, stars. Uh,
yeah, which, would
but
explain
yeah,
it is kind of the reason why I didn't play Arceus is just because like, I needed a personal break from the games.
it just missed me. I just didn't have the time window to get it, and uh, yeah, it just missed me, and I definitely do want to replay it. I think it's gonna be really fun to play Arceus going back after playing Scarlet and Violet,
Yeah.
and see sort of where it comes from, and see what it sort of does differently. But
And
yeah, no, I definitely give a lot of respect to it, and it's clear that this was a huge success game for the franchise.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, moving on with what Scarlet and Violet actually are going to be. I'm we haven't we've only recently been getting a decent amount of like coverage of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a gen where we might actually know the least about it, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
Unless these games don't have that much content,
yeah, that's possible.
which is, frighteningly possible if you consider several of the games that came out in the past 10 years.
Yeah, you know what? You did just now fill me with a sense of dread that I did not think I could have, and you may have ruined my evening, Joe. My disappointment could be immeasurable, and my night might be ruined now. Um, So let's move on from the negative reality and sort of focus on what this game is offering, hopefully, what it will fulfill. Being a huge, open, expansive, open world Pokemon
Yeah.
game, online connectivity all the time, having multiple styles of campaigns. Like,
You have,
I
like,
certainly,
base
yeah, I don't.
raids.
I don't see how this can be a game lacking in content. I think at its worst, it could be a game that falls short and underwhelms. It like a worst case scenario. This isn't what I
Yeah.
actually think will happen, but I certainly don't think it can be a game sparse in content. Um, I would be.
It-
I guess that is the thing is you could theoretically have an open world with nothing to do in it, and that's how this game
yeah.
sort of fails.
My.
But Arceus
Uh,
showed that there wasn't that much of an issue with it.
My worry with the game is that a lot of its content is going to feel kind of copy pasted, like a lot of open world games suffer.
I mean, Pokemon games kind of also just feel copy pasted in general. They're very formulaic, so
Yeah,
I mean, this game is breaking from the traditional format, so I mean, yeah, it could be going through growing pains. Um, I guess that is true. This could be. Damn, I was ready to come in here and just be nothing but positive this evening. It's like you got me thinking, you got me chewing on this now. Could there
like
be a potential that this could, you know, like I want to make it clear that in a few minutes when we're kind of done with this point, I'm going to be spending a lot of time being very enthusiastic and very
yeah,
refreshingly positive. But it is an important point to bring up that we could be led astray. We all thought Sword and Shield were going to be the next big. Remember how much they hyped up the Wild area?
yeah. Like that's the thing is that I'm very aware of just how effective Game Freak is at pretending like their games have more than they actually have.
Remember Rainbow Rocket, the Ultra Dimension?
Ultra Mega Lock up,
Yeah,
yeah, that place. And it was like 2 rooms.
yeah. So yeah, you were not wrong to have that skepticism.
Yeah, no, like I'm hoping for these games to be, the next big step, and in many ways they will be.
Yep. People don't usually go in being like, "Yeah, I sure wish I could spend $60 and get something that's gonna let me down."
Yeah, like ideally these games, my suspicions won't be accurate.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, you definitely have cleared the rose tint off of my glasses a smidge, which is funny because I think we're both in very similar boats where we've been let down by the last couple generations. Um, I guess for the viewers at home, maybe we should just give a very brief sort of view of how we've been throughout the franchise. We both, started with the
Yeah, we
originals.
both started with
Uh,
the originals.
we're very much like fans of the, original like couple generations up until uh around like the 3DS era is really
Yeah,
where both of us kind of have our skepticisms, at different points, sort of.
yeah,
Uh, but for the most part, we can say that around like the 2010s is really where we kind of started to feel like Pokemon wasn't living up to its potential. It was starting to fall out of favor, starting to just lose us.
yeah.
Culminating in Sword and Shield is feeling like major disappointments to both of us.
Indeed. Like the specifics how we feel about each individual generation are different, but the general trajectory
Yeah,
is the same.
that's why I'm brushing over the contentious games. You'll
Yeah,
notice I specifically left out games that we have very different opinions on for the purpose of this discussion.
yeah,
But the general courses around X and Y, we both kind of felt like the franchise just was missing something and kind of stumbled, despite the games, generally being good. And Sword and Shield just are just, I mean, to call a spade, Sword and Shield just are not good, not very good video games.
yeah.
They are functional, but they are certainly
Not
missing
much
a
more
lot.
than that.
Yeah, they feel very hollow, very incomplete in a lot of ways. So
Yeah,
it's been a long sort of journey of this kind of descent into our opinions on the franchise. So we're really hoping for a win here.
yeah. If nothing
You know,
else, I expect these games to be interesting.
yeah, I'm certainly expecting these games to, it's a weird sort of feeling that I have going in because I don't feel I'm so used to the Pokemon cycle of feeling like a very specific feeling, like because I know these are going to be structurally so different from the past Pokemon games. I'm not entirely like when I go into a new Pokemon game, I like kind of can imagine how it's going to be for the first like couple hours or so, but I don't actually know how this is going to be. Like I can think like, oh, cool, on the first day I'm gonna get through the tutorial, get through the first gym, maybe get to the second gym town, Like, I have no
Yeah,
idea what I'm going to do in the first day because I don't know what the structure of this game's going to be.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I do, but I don't know exactly where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do.
That's
You
the
know,
fascinating part is that we're very likely to go to very different parts of the region.
yeah,
Like if you could go to the right, I could go to the left, and we'll have different Pokemon we've encountered, possibly encountered gyms in a different order.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what we do know we're gonna start with. How about them starter Pokemon?
Oh boy.
I
So, all right. Well, you know what? You seem more conclusive in your opinion, so I'll let you kind of hit them out of the park first.
I'm not sure it started to pick. I actually quite like all three of the first forms, but I guess due to my feelings on the starters of the past few generations, I've been quite apprehensive and actually really deciding a starter to pick.
I'm very much in the same boat on that. Um, yeah, there's a lot of hesitation I have about which one I'm gonna pick. So I'm gonna be up front. I do not like Sprigatito. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it looks very generic. Yeah, I'm not gonna harp on it because I know a lot of people really love
Yeah,
Sprigatito, but it ain't for me. So for me, it's really between Fuecoco and Quaxley. Um,
yeah,
so I don't really know which one I want to pick. I think for me, I'm just worried about being let down by its evolutions. Sword and Shield was a unique scenario for me where I actually hated my starter choice so much, I actually traded another starter from a different game and continued my game with a new starter. Uh, I picked Sobble and what's the middle one called? Drizzle?
Drizzile.
Drizzile. I hated that thing so much. I swapped out for a Scorbunny. I literally just was like, all right, let me just start fresh with a Scorbunny. I'm not restarting the game, but I'm gonna get a new starter.
Yeah,
So and I was much happier with Scorbunny. So I am genuinely, I don't want that to happen again, you know. And I've seen, Grookey kind of sucked the whole line,
yeah.
you know.
I was gonna say, I picked Grookey, but I wasn't really enthusiastic about any of the starters.
Yeah. I mean, I knew Scorbunny was gonna be like a 10 out of 10 Kino, badass boy, and Cinderace is fine, but Rabu is like the goat. But you know, uh, overall, even in that case, I'll sort of say that like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I worry about potentially getting that scenario again. It's a big decision which starter you pick.
yeah. It sucks that I've just now apprehensive when I see starters now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I personally really like Sprigatito, but I was always thinking like, what if this just turns into like some weird Catman?
You know that in your head you've just been imagining Green Incineroar for months.
Yeah, because so many of the starters now are like people, and it's like
Yeah, a
in
lot of
the
bipedals.
a lot of Anthro Pokemon in particular. Like I don't have a problem with bipedal Pokemon. It's more like so many of them are like stand-ins for people, and it's really getting weird with how prevalent that is.
Yeah, they're trying to make them more sort of defined, more sort of,
Characters.
yeah, make them characters. I mean, Ash Greninja is like a very overt sort of example of the scenario. Greninja is almost like a person, except he's not. He's still a little monster dude you're supposed to catch. So it's like, well,
It's
that's a whole other thing about like where
what are
what
these
they're
things
trying to
supposed to
do.
be now?
What are Pokemon supposed to be? You know? If only there was a Pokemon game that really asks the question of what are the ethics of even catching and training Pokemon and having them join your team? You know, is there an ethical way to do it? Should you just release your Pokemon out into the wild and let them explore their own individual lives separate from humanity?
Man, if only there's a game that like fully delved into it and didn't just kind of shy away from it.
Well, at least we got Black and White. At least that solved your problem, Joe.
like 30% of the way.
Oh,
Alright, so yeah, simply put, I'm just I've just been kind of reticent about actually picking a starter, because while I do like all the first forms, that could change really quickly.
yeah. For me, I feel like Quaxley could be the coolest one, but it also could suck. Fuecoco, I feel like, is probably a safe bet. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I I was watching a video made by content creator Arlo, the wonderful puppet man. And
Yeah.
he was talking about this exact conundrum that he was in, and about picking like the safe choice versus the choice that might give him, you know, something that he might like more. And I'm really in that same boat where I'm like, do I pick Fuecoco, who is the safe choice for me, where
Yeah.
I guarantee at the bare minimum I'm gonna like all three of its forms, or I pick Quaxley, who has the potential to be even cooler than Fuecoco's ultimate line, but also has a chance to suck.
Yeah.
Like, I know if I pick Fuecoco, I'm at a guaranteed I'm gonna like it, but I also think that Quaxley could be cooler, like overall. I think it does have that potential to be
Yeah.
cooler than the entire Fuecoco line, but it also could suck really bad, and then I'm stuck with a shitty starter. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna be up until launch like second guessing my choice
Yeah.
until eventually like until eventually like a day before they have a trailer with the mid forms revealed, and then I make my decision.
Yeah. And this is kind of a microcosm of my general middling feelings on most of the new Pokemon they've shown off.
Now, you know what's actually gonna happen is I'm gonna get my game, I'm gonna get home, get on Twitter, and then I'm gonna see somebody's mid form posted before I've started my game, and then I'm gonna be like, God damn it. So
Yeah.
I'll have it figured out by the time I start playing.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
But
ask you what you picked and pick something else.
I mean that's fair. It's usually what we wind up doing anyway.
Yeah. And then if we're both unsure, we're gonna get a swing vote.
We'll both pick Sprigatito and hate ourselves. Actually, no, you kind of like Sprigatito. It's
I like Sprigatito. I'm just nervous about what it's gonna become.
gonna become Sprigatito. The ancient Ololans once said,
Wait,
"You must."
Incineroar's from Alola. Green Incineroar confirmed.
This is Paldean Incineroar is gonna be Sprigatito's evolution. The ancient Alolan.
Wow, these regional variants are really getting out of hand. They
I'm
leaked
just
into the
imagining
starters.
Garf. Now I'm just imagining Green Garfield wearing Tito from Rocket Power's shirt.
Uh, yeah.
You gotta find some way to put Tito from Rocket Power in the thumbnail. Even if he's a tiny little guy in the corner hiding somewhere.
The fourth starter.
Tito.
But yeah. Um, in terms of other feelings that I got from the really early trailers, I was really not feeling the default trainer designs, and you could really tell that they're cranking up the customization because they look really generic.
They look very generic. And yeah, I think at this point they're kind of foregoing the whole element of having the main characters be characters. And I think honestly, I'm not like bothered by it. I think it always weirds me out when they make like they try to make the protagonists characters so they can market them, but who cares?
Yeah,
Especially if you're a boy character. Like, what can you off the top of your head even name all the boys? What was the boy's name in Sword and Shield?
Sword and Shield. Uh,
You thought I was gonna ask about Sun and Moon, didn't you?
oh god, I don't think I actually know. Is his name like
Yeah,
George or something?
not George. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not George. Can you name the Sun and Moon kid? I at least know that one.
Oh, what is it? I actually don't know.
His name is Elio.
Oh,
The Sun and Moon.
yeah. Okay, that shows how much I remember them.
Do you remember the X and Y kid?
Caleb.
Yeah. That's because he still looked like a character, but
Oh,
like,
oh, because they stopped using the trainer characters as rivals after that point.
yeah, that's also part of it. They stopped merchandising them. They stopped having them appear in the anime as much. Like the Sun and Moon girl was not in the anime. So I think by Sun and Moon, they knew that like,
People are just gonna be
uh,
customizing these characters anyway.
yeah, like they're not in like Pokemon Master Sex. They're not. I don't even know if they do the manga Pokemon Adventures anymore, but like they haven't done like I remember like even up to like Black and White, they would have like all of them be characters. So like Gen 6 was really like the last gen where the protagonists were like really characters, and I'm really only giving half credit because of how much work they put into Serena in the anime and I think
Yeah,
some of the associated manga. Like they took all of Kalem's potential and just put it all into Serena. They doubled down on Serena.
they know that the females are more popular.
But I'm even saying that like Sun and Moon Girl
Yeah,
didn't get anything,
yeah.
and
All she got was a Glove World hat.
yeah, she got the Glove World, the Billy Hatcher fit, and like Gloria from Sword and Shield, despite being a very, I would say, a pretty standout design, also got like nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
She
like
only lives on through ironic memes about Scottish people.
yeah. She's Scottish. That's her
She's
thing.
got it. I'm Scottish.
Yeah, like it's telling that how popular that design was, and they really didn't capitalize on her much.
Yeah, but I think at the point they knew that like those trainers, it wasn't worth focusing on. And, you know, they're
Yeah,
doing so much more with the gym trainers. Not to say old gym trainers weren't dynamic, but I feel like they're really like trying to make the gym trainers like characters, which is going to be relevant to talking about
yeah.
this game because of how they're really playing up the characteristics of the gym trainers as like fully developed people. But
The
like
gym trainers and like companions slash rivals have been getting a lot more content.
Like if you think of from X to Y to Sun and Moon, like the Sun and Moon like trial masters are much more
It,
fleshed out
yeah,
individually than any of them. Like the only reason you remember what the grass gym leader's name is in X and Y is because our friends also got the same name.
yeah.
Literally tell me that my face you would remember Ramos's name from X and Y.
If
If you
Ramos
didn't
wasn't
have a
a friend
friend,
of ours,
yeah.
what is the seventh gym leader of X and Y?
I'm trying to it's the celestial lady, right?
Yeah,
But I don't remember her name.
Olympia.
Olympia. Yeah, damn it, right. At
Yeah,
first I thought you were gonna trick me and it was like some ice gym or something. No, it's the eighth, dude.
yeah.
That's the
That's
eighth.
the gym.
Yeah. No, so the point is like, but compared to, like, I can't remember all their names, but I can remember a lot of the personalities of the Gen 7 Trial Masters.
Yeah,
You know, there's the weird, creepy, evil guy. There's the little ghost girl. There's, you know, the main three from like the first
yeah.
island, Mallow, the little water girl, and
Lana.
Kukui. Yeah, Lana and
Yeah,
Kukui. Socrates or Sophocles and his older brother, the steel type one.
yeah.
Point is, like, I feel like they're much, Olivia. Uh, yeah, like there's a lot more I can remember about those characters, and you can tell because the anime, like, four of them were main characters.
Yeah,
Like,
like I'm about to like really get into the Pokemon designs of this game, but never let
yeah,
it be said they have not missed with the gym leader designs in a while.
yeah, I feel like that's actually something that's gotten much. it's improved a lot. Sword and Shield, I don't. Sword and Shield had some really standout ones. Um, like some pretty solid designs. A couple that were kind of just there. And then you have Nessa, who's like possibly the best ever single fucking design gym leader ever.
Um, I think you made a mistake. I think you're supposed to say Melanie.
Brother, we have very different opinions here. That's for the out. That's for the late night podcast.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, no, definitely. And you know what? Like, not in a completely different way than that conversation. Like,
yeah,
Opal is such a defined character. I
yeah,
really think Opal was really funny. I really liked Opal a lot from Sword and Shield.
yeah.
And the weird little ghost kid and B and the super buff kid who looks like he's got the softest doughboy face, the grass kid.
Yeah, Milo.
Milo.
He's built like an early JoJo character. We has Kirby's face.
Yeah. He looks like he's a meme character. He doesn't look like a real person. Oh my god. Love it. Yeah, no, the designs of the new gym leaders have been fantastic lately. And like this generation doesn't seem like they're really stopping with that. I have not seen that many of the gym leaders, but I can just tell based on the character designs of what they've shown so far. Everyone in this game is hot. Everyone. And it's really weird. Everybody's hot in Gen 9.
That's how you know they have a gotcha game now.
Yeah. Man, Pokemon Master Sex was really the appropriate name to call it. But yeah, yeah, because I know we're gonna talk a lot about the Pokemon, but yeah, I actually really do like what they're doing with the characters, so I think it makes sense to dial back on making the protagonist
Yeah.
important because no one cares. Like, are you gonna buy like a statue of what's his face default male of this game?
Move aside, Sigma males. It's all about default male.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, but like, why are the professors so hot?
they're definitely a couple. They're definitely like, oh man, they're like TikTok influencers.
Yeah,
Uh, bro, how they make them all? They're making up for lost time.
yeah.
They've realized that they need to. What was the profession? Yeah, ever since what's her name in Gen 5? Sorry if I'm
Juniper.
what's her name. Yeah, sorry if I'm what's her name and what's her face in a lot lately. We record this at like 11 o'clock at night, and my ability to remember stuff like that is a little bit scattered. But yeah,
Thankfully,
ever since like Juniper, they're like, yeah, we need to make professors hot. Rowan wasn't doing it. Rowan looks like Wilford Brimley, and they were like, all right, this ain't selling units.
yeah.
Dialga beat us.
Ah,
We need to stop Dialga beat us.
so so yeah, we will be traveling across the Paldea region,
Yeah,
finding all sorts of Pokemon, new and old, and in between.
yeah.
Um,
If I didn't make it clear, yeah, all the gym leaders, all the trainer characters, everybody. I love Yano. She's never gonna have voice acting in the game. Why not? How dare they? Gita is a queen. We stand her. We love her. Mala, or whatever her name is, Mela, the star girl. I love her. All of them. They're all beautiful. Penny, she's different, but we like her. The guy who everyone thought was a girl with the scar, with the
yeah.
turtleneck. We love him. Everybody, we love them all. They're all hot. Everybody's hot. Instead of Smash, everyone's here. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, everyone's hot. Except for the children that you play as. Because that's creepy and weird.
Looks at camera.
Luckily, this game has students who are of legal age now. They have like adults as like
Yeah.
students. So, but
That's
yes, getting on to the Pokemon. which I feel like I won't have as much to say. And I think y'all know why, but I'd like you to continue with your point.
Yeah, like there's seems to be a decent smattering of new Pokemon this time. A lot of variants, and I don't know what Pokemon I'm going to be using on my team because it all depends on who I encounter in my travels.
That's also gonna be the fun thing about having open world map design is really gives variety to what you're actually gonna wind up catching this time.
Yeah,
It makes it really important which way you go because if you go the wrong way, you are gonna have a completely different team than what you want going in.
yeah. I don't think it's going to be like Sinnoh where you'll have Bidoof, Shanks, Staraptor.
Yeah, the first time I ever played Diamond, I just picked the first six Pokemon I caught, and I had a really well balanced team for some reason. I had Infernape, Staraptor, Luxray, Bebarrel, Machamp, or Machoke, I think I got someone to trade me, and Cricketune. I was like, bro, why was Sinnoh so stacked off the right off the bat?
Yeah, like there are memes about how monotonous most people's teams are in their first Sinnoh playthrough.
Yeah,
I mean, partially because they had a pretty stacked early roster,
yeah,
but also because everyone's encountering the same effective Pokemon, so it's like, why change?
yeah.
Are you not going to use Staraptor this time?
Are you just trying to not have a good time? Are you trying to have a difficult game?
Yeah. And in this case, like, who knows what I'm going to find?
All depends on which way you leave.
Yeah. Am I going to use a Lechonk?
Let's yeah, let's talk about some of the new designs. So let's make it clear if we haven't already. Um, I have been pretty much avoiding as many leaks as possible, so we're not going to talk about things that have not been officially announced.
Nope.
Um, we may allude to one or two of them, but I'm not going to like say any names, and I'm not well, I'm not doing the editing, so I can't edit pictures of things in any way to spoil you guys, and I don't think Joe's
I'm
gonna
not.
put in the effort. I
Yeah.
don't think he's gonna deliberately go out of his way to spoil you guys with visuals. So, if we say
Yeah.
things vaguely alluding, just take our words for it, but we're not gonna like call out the names of anything, specifically, unless it's been officially revealed by the Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
Which is also why we're not talking about any of the starter evolutions, which I have not seen at all, but Joe has seen a little bit of. So
Yeah.
we
I've
will
seen
again,
leaks. I'll
yeah,
not comment on said leaks.
yeah. So, but moving on to the Pokemon we actually know, um, you are gonna have to go with actually saying their names because promise you, I left my phone somewhere else, so I can't even go and Cerebi and look it up.
You know, here we go. I'm about to do it because I think I have memorized about half of them.
Cool. Well, let's go through the ones that we actually do remember first. So go with the ones that you know.
All right. Well, everyone knows Lechonk.
Yeah.
Yeah. A pig, a very rotund pig, as opposed to Palmy, the very rotund mouse, or Smoliv, the very rotund olive,
Bro, they all have like, why those two got the same face?
as opposed to Sith Titan, the very rotund whale thing.
That, did you read your word a day calendar before starting this podcast? You're all about that rotund.
It's not my fault that like half the Pokemon announced look like blobs,
They all got the same damn face. They all got the same.
as opposed to Cloth, the very rotund crab.
Okay, so yeah, I got Cerebi pulled up here, so it only is gonna show officially shown off Pokemon on here. So
As
uh,
opposed as
yes.
opposed to Bellybolt, the very rotund whatever it's supposed to be.
What about Palmy, the very rotund mouse?
Yeah.
and Fido, the very rotund dog made of bread, which is like, didn't we just have like Yamper? Like, do we need another Yamper? Whoa, what about rock and roll? Do we really need another Geodude? Okay, that was like 4 generations after. This is literally
Yeah,
one game after Yamper.
and this is right after the same generation as Grievard, the ghost dog, right after the Hisuian Growlithe, which is right after Yamper.
Yeah,
We've been kind of hit with a barrage of small dogs.
yeah. There's Pokemon I'm looking at here that I forgot were announced already, so this is gonna be a little weird for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go through really quick with some of the ones on here. So, do you have the same pages pulled up? You want to kind of just
Yeah,
go continue down the list? Titan, I think, is one of the few Pokemon that's been shown off so far that I think kind of looks cool. Um,
yeah,
but I don't know if I'd actually use it. I think I want to see if it evolves or not. Um, I'm
yeah.
gonna
That's all right. Um,
I'm gonna I'm gonna skip the next one because it's gonna come back later when we talk about the big stuff. So
yeah.
Graphii, uh I okay, haha.
It's a
um yeah, I don't know. It looks way over designed for me. It
yeah,
looks like that meme you see of like what Gen 4 Charizard would look like. Like
yeah.
there's just too many colors. The eyes are too like too different of a shade. Like I feel like if you like mostly Pokemon have the same damn eyes. But I kind of feel like if this had like the normal eyes, it'd probably look a little better. Like, it's probably more like It's probably more scientifically accurate to have the eyes like this. But I don't know. I think it makes it look too busy,
Yeah,
like way too busy. So it's not bad. It's not bad design. I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
it doesn't really speak to me.
What does speak to me is stupid, dumb meme Pokemon like Cloth.
Yeah, like yeah, Cloth looks like a Pikmin enemy, and I mean that in an endearing manner.
He's just a funny meme guy. Uh,
Yeah,
um, Armor Rouge and Cerulege. These are the coolest Mega Man X Mavericks we've had in a while.
yeah. Like I like them.
Yeah, these guys scream Mega Man X, which makes them exceedingly cool. They actually look so cool, I kind of don't want to use one because I feel like they're going to be really good. Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of like I don't like to use legendaries on my team or even pseudos, and I don't actually. These aren't the pseudos, are they? These
No,
are just normal Pokemon.
no, I'm getting Electabuzz Magmar vibes from these guys.
For me, I was getting like a Lucario and above kind of vibe. Like they look so cool
Yeah,
and powerful that I feel like these are like pseudo legendaries, and that kind of like almost makes me not want to use them. Like
yeah.
they seem too badass.
They strike me
Like
as like you're supposed to you get these things in the late game to patch up what your team needs near the end.
damn, that actually is gonna make me have to think now because I didn't realize both of them were fire type, so that might actually sway me to picking Quaxley if I decide I want to have them.
Of course, this could be like a situation I had with Galarian Corsola, which was my favorite Pokemon of Gen 8, and I just don't encounter one.
Yeah.
Like, these things might be rare, and I might not see this thing until done with the game.
Speaking of that, Joe, how Wiglet? Wiglet Wednesday.
And if in like 20 minutes, it'll be Wiglet Wednesday. I have to be careful with how I talk about this thing. But
Make sure you have the hard T on it.
but yeah,
It
Wiglet
is.
is my favorite Yoshi's Island enemy.
See, it's funny. I was gonna say this looks like Pikmin guy, but no, that straight up has like the Raphael the Raven nose and all that. Yeah, it straight up looks like a fucking Yoshi enemy.
I have no idea what this thing's gonna turn into.
I kind of just hope it becomes actually Wiggler from Mario. Like full stop. Just put Wiggler. And
Yeah, much like how
like, are you even gonna notice? Would anyone even notice? Would anyone even care if they just start putting Mario enemies in Pokemon?
yeah, throw a throw one of your B-lister Mario enemies in here, and I'm sure you get some fanfare out of it.
Yeah, one of those weird little like ladybug dudes from Mario 3D Lands. Put those dudes in.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. No one's gonna miss them. All right,
Oh,
time
this.
time for the Pokemon who just its name upsets me because they screwed it up. Farigiraf, not Farigiraf. Farigiraf is the official pronunciation.
It just bothers me because the whole point of Girafarig being a palindrome is that it has a head on both sides, but this thing doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, no, design wise, I think it's all right.
Yeah, I
It
think
looks
it's an
kind of
alright
silly,
design. I mean, it looks it looks a little silly, but like, alright, a lot of Pokemon do nowadays.
and it's also a giraffe rig. Like, I don't know how much you could have really done with it.
Yeah, how elegant could you make a Girafarig evolution?
Yeah, besides just making the butt bigger. But no, it lost for me the moment they completely failed to understand how to actually pronounce their own Pokemon species.
Like, I might
Like,
still use this thing because I actually quite like Girafarig.
I've I've I think I like this less than normal giraffe rig,
Oh
but
yeah,
I don't know. It also just kind of looks like really basic. Like, it doesn't look like this looks like it could be a regional variant and not an evolution. Like, it doesn't look like it's a different Pokemon. Like, its face is the exact same.
yeah,
Like,
you're kind of right.
it would have maybe it would have been better if they tried to make the I'm just gonna call it the chain chomp face, like the actual face, and like make the giraffe face more of like a decorative, like actually like make
Have them swap places, and the Chain Chomp head is the main one, and the
yeah,
Giraffe
and then
face is
have the
behind.
giraffe head like a decorative part of its face, kind of a contour, sort of switch it. So now so now like the chain chomp is now the main face, but instead it's just a hoodie that goes over the giraffe face still. So it's like, yeah, no, it kind of just doesn't. I don't even know what the point of what's going on with its neck. Like, why is it like this weird different color? Like, it's not a design that I think really. Look, I'm sure Loxton's gonna make a 30-minute video explaining the perfect logical explanation of it, but on the simple outset, like, it looks more like an African like giraffe, like, something you'd see more out in the wild. But I don't know. It it just doesn't. It's I don't know. It's not cool. It's not different. It doesn't look strong.
Yeah, like I still kind of like it.
The lack of tail actually I think bothers me. Like, it
Yeah,
looks more like a real giraffe, but like it lost what made it unique, which was being a giraffe with a weird demented head on its butt.
yeah, it looks more like a giraffe, but it looks less like a Girafarig.
Yeah, that's the best way you can describe it. It doesn't look like a giraffe rig. It just looks like a normal giraffe wearing a hoodie.
Yeah,
Why are you for a giraffe?
like it'll probably grow on me if I use it.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of something that I like significantly less, Belly Bolt.
I am surprised you do not like this. This looks like exactly your kind of Pokemon.
I,
I'm not a big fan of it. I kind of do think it's funny with like the eyes being in the middle. It kind of looks like Lubba from Mario Galaxy with like headphones on.
yeah, it
He's
does.
got his air. Oh yeah, it's Lubba with AirPods in.
On a level, he has AirPods and we can't stop him.
He can't notice the earthquake. Oh no, magnitude 10. Lubba, no, take out your AirPods. No.
All right, if we do a Nuzlocke stream of this game,
Lubba's got his AirPods, which is ironic because he's all about music. So
Yeah.
I think he literally does have headphones in because I can't see what else it would be. I think those are literal AirPods, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not feeling this thing.
The more I think of it like that, because like when you look at it and think the eyes are the white parts, it kind of looks just sort of stupid. And like it also kind of looks stupid, but it's like the camouflage element, I think. Like his big doofy lubba face, like Mario Galaxy, I think. I don't know. I'm not gonna use it, but I think I've warmed up to the design a little bit more. Appreciating the work that kind of went into it to kind of give it like that dual layered sort of
All right.
perspective.
I respect your opinion.
Because I'm not using it,
Yeah.
but you know,
I
I don't
yeah.
dislike it as much anymore.
It also just screams like gimmick Pokemon with very middling to terrible stats
Yeah.
with a
This looks like
cool
This
ability.
looks like a no evolution Pokemon. Yeah, it doesn't have like a weird ability that like turns like something. I think if you like hit it, it'll like power up its moves or something like that. Like if you hit it, certain its electric moves get more powerful. So like if you just hit it enough, it'll just be able to devastate you with a stab electric.
I'd be surprised if this thing had a base stat total higher than 600. I mean, 460. If it was higher than 600, I'd fucking this thing would be a menace. Like I don't know. Like I get the feeling this thing's gonna have very middling double-digit base stats and a cool ability.
It wants to be Politoed so bad.
Yeah.
Moving on to something else that wants to be something else really bad. Grievard, who wants to be Litwick and Hisuian Growlithe at the same time. I swear when I saw this, I thought this was like a branching evolution of Litwick.
Yeah.
Like, why have the purple flame with the candle wick on the top of it? It's too specific. I don't know. I mean, I understand we've had things like Mantine with a Remoraid on its side, but like, I don't know. That was also during the weird, we're still figuring out what Pokemon is era. You know,
Yeah.
Slowbro having the cloister was like originally a design element thing they could never get to figure out how to work, so it's just kind of a leftover.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna come after old Pokemon for their weirdness, but like it's 2022. I kind of think if you're gonna do that, you gotta be more, you know, overt or I don't know. It just seems weird.
Yeah.
Uh, so what's your
Greenvart's.
take? Mhm.
What do I
I
think about this thing?
Yeah,
Meh.
Joe. It's got the ability pickup, which is a completely rare for quadrupedal little mammals. That's like that's like the John Smith of Pokemon abilities for like mammals.
Oh, next thing you're gonna
Pickup.
tell me a rodent's gonna have runaway.
Yeah. So what's your take on the next dude?
I like Gimme Ghoul.
Jimmy Ghoul is very weird, and I kind of like him. I don't love him. I kind of like his roaming form more, mostly because he just looks like the guy from Alien Hamid.
Oh yeah, he does kind of look like that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of funny. He looks like He looks like he could have a lot of weird, like stories to tell.
Yeah, you know, you go on a treasure hunt in this game, so you have a treasure Pokemon. Yeah. No, I think it's a neat idea for a ghost type.
Now these Pokemon are very interesting, and I'm not really sure how I feel about them entirely. Great Tusk and Iron Treads, which seem to be Donphan, either evolutions or regional variants.
Yeah.
Uh, I've always kind of liked Donphan. I've never like been 100%, but I certainly think that these give the nice extra freshness that could certainly be used for Donphan. And I believe there are other Pokemon species that are going to be having these as well. I don't know if they've been officially revealed, so I'm not going to talk
No,
about them unless you
not
know.
not really going to comment except saying yeah, there will be more Pokemon that get this treatment.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they seem to be Pokemon that I tend to use, so I wouldn't be surprised if my team mostly consists of these dudes. These weird variant Pokemon with like a power up because apparently it uses like a book or something to power up. You use a
Yeah.
book or something to upgrade them, so they're cool. I think that they're interesting. Uh, don't know why. Also, how do you feel about Paldea and Wooper? Because isn't that like the only regional variant we have so far? Or
It's
are
the
there
only
other ones?
regional variant we've been made aware of.
I'm sure there's gonna be like two or three other ones randomly, but you know, they've been kind of like lacking on marketing those. They've kind of just like let them be in the game lately.
Yeah.
They just kind of show up now.
Which,
So
is neat.
yeah, it's a nice surprise. Because like Legends, like most of them were not in the trailer. There were a lot in for Sword and Shield that just kind of were in the game, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of just the thing now. They're not pushing it as hard, which I think is good. You
Yeah,
know,
like now that we know that, yeah, they're just gonna keep doing this. Like, might as well just save them.
yeah, just let them be surprises. Um, I don't think I want to. I need to talk about this. Apparently, people think that what's on the front of that Team Star car might be a Pokemon, but I'm not really gonna get into it because I can't really confirm anything.
I can't
So
confirm or deny anything regarding that.
I'm not interested enough in talking about it. Let's talk about the big ones here. Let's talk about our pal Cyclizar. We'll talk about it first, and then we'll talk about the other two. So Cyclizar. Um,
This is
I
like my favorite Pokemon they've announced for this game.
yeah, this dude's rad. I really like him. He looks exactly like the weird little like aliens or like chameleon. He looks like an enemy from Crash Bandicoot 1 specifically. Uh,
Yeah,
I really like him. I think he's pretty cool. Being that he's like a story relevant Pokemon, I might be less inclined to use them. I don't know, since it's probably gonna be a gift Pokemon. Something about that kind of like makes me not want to use it, but the problem is it like looks cool. It's kind of the same issue I have with like the armor and edge Pokemon. Like they look too cool that I feel like I will be cheap for using them. Um, I don't know. It's like a weird thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna pick all the Pokemon that are tough or cool, just blast my way through. It's like, because usually I mostly just use all the cute, stupid-looking guys.
yeah,
So maybe it's an attempt to like not feel like I'm just cheesing the game by picking all the overpowered ones. I don't know.
yeah. I guess it depends on how much gravitas this thing has.
Yeah, and if it's even use like a good Pokemon, because presumably what it's gonna be is that we're not gonna, you know, we're still not really sure like how it's gonna like is Cyclizar gonna be a Pokemon and actually take it to battle, or is he gonna be more like a Rotom? Like I assume you can probably catch wild Cyclizar, but are you going to be able to like use the one that uses your own bike as a Pokemon?
Yeah, a lot of questions with this thing, but I do like it quite a bit.
Yeah. And now moving on to big boy evolutions. Our pals Medaidon and Koraidon. Right, why did I overemphasize the pronunciation? I don't know. Maybe because they're so damn cool.
Because I think we're so aware that these are just Japanese names.
Yeah, that's kind of why when we were talking about the monkey graph I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I. It's like a Japanese onomatopoeia. Yeah,
No,
it's like this
I is
feels
like
like
an animal that's
yeah,
based off of.
yeah. No, it's just funny because it's
Yeah,
like not even knowing like a lot of Japanese. It's just
yeah,
Mirai's future and Korai.
right.
Isn't Korai just straight up the past?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just like it feels like they would have in the in our older generations might have actually translated those names to anything. So yeah, it's just kind of weird. And it's just like Mirai and
and
Korai.
Kodai. Yeah, it's like once you know it's Pokemon, you you just kind of it just kind of sticks out to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, I was I was put off by these Pokemon at first, but they actually grew on me quite a bit.
I have always been a huge fan of them. These things are awesome. They are so rad. It was kind of hard for me to pick. Um, I think normally I would have picked Koraidon, or I'm sorry, I would have normally picked Miraidon. But for whatever reason, Koraidon's working more for me. I think also just because I know I usually it's like a whole thing. I've like alternated Pokemon games every single time, and like it kind of lines up that Scarlet's gonna be the one this time for me. So it's like, yeah, I think it's partially I know I'm already gonna get the game, but I also just kind of like I don't know. It works for me weirdly enough.
Yeah,
Maybe it's because I also know I get what's her name, that professor girl, in that game. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're both really cool though. And I like that they're gonna be around the whole time. Also, they're just straight up the bikes from Kamen Rider Ryuki, which is
yeah.
awesome.
Who wouldn't want an Advent Beast?
Yeah, bro. They're really cool. Oh yeah, Koraidon just he doesn't like his wheels aren't for riding. He just walks, but the wheels are just decorative. That's really cool. Oh yeah, it's like a bird kind of like crest that it has on its front.
Yeah,
So I think that's kind of what makes it really funny and cool for me is that Koraidon doesn't actually have a wheel. It just kind of looks like it has a wheel.
yeah,
It has a giant wheel-shaped growth on its chest. So, yeah, no, they're really cool. I think they don't feel like traditional legendary Pokemon, which at first would be kind of weird, but I don't know. Like, I think I think it's time to stop having like the box legendaries needing to be so gallant and regal. Like it feels like the last couple generations, like they've been cool, but they've also kind of just been like whatever, you know?
once you do the same thing so many times, they just kind of lose their
Yeah.
luster.
Yeah, like yeah. It's kind of just the same thing, the big interdimensional space god. It's like these are just cool little bike dudes, you know? And hopefully they'll have more to do with the story based on the fact that they're always around with you.
Yeah,
So might be the first time I care about a box legendary for a long time because it's actually going to be involved on the team with you.
yeah. Huh.
What?
I was just thinking, considering how similar Zacian and Zamazenta were in Sword and Shield, it makes me wonder that in some stage of development that Sword and Shield were meant to be more open and they were supposed to be rideable.
Hey Joe, if we start thinking about things that should have been in Pokemon games, we could be here all day. There's so many things about the 3D era of Pokemon games we could talk about what should have been there.
Yeah.
What was in that building in the desert?
You know, yeah, I relate with Zygarde quite a bit. We both have no game.
Rest in peace, stars. Believe they killed stars for Let's Go.
All
All right,
right,
move on.
move
Because
on.
I'm even sad about that one.
All right, so all right, let's talk about the thing that I was dreading being in the game. Uh, let's talk about terastallizing. The
Yeah,
gimmick.
the gimmick, the first one in a while that seems kind of cool, at least mechanically, because it's not trying to be cool like in a toy sense. Because I'm pretty sure they ain't selling toys of this one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure they can actually sell toys really easily. Probably just put a little. Probably just sell action figures with like a little peg hole on the top, and it's like
yeah.
you'll clip the thing in. It's a lot easier than a whole new action figure and deluxe toy rings and whatnot. Which is like for me. I personally love all that toy garbage. Uh, in the sense of the physical toys. In terms of how it works in the video game, I hate it. But like, although I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty dope having the Z ring in Pokemon Sword or Pokemon Sun and Moon, and like having the toy interact with it. Like that was pretty baller. Except for the fact that I was like in my 20s and playing the game at home by myself, so I had no reason to do it. So it
I
was just sad.
I couldn't wear those things even if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah. In Gen 6 it was Mega Evolution. Gen 7 it was Z moves. Gen 8 it was Dynamaxing, and now it's Terrestrialization, where you can change your Pokemon's type.
yeah, and that in and of itself is just already the best gimmick because that completely changes a lot of how you go into battles.
Yeah.
Unlike the other ones, which are just this guy's stronger now.
It's got
This
stronger
guy has a
now.
different type now. I mean, yeah, okay, that's kind of similar to this, but like the types usually didn't change dramatically enough with Mega Evolutions, and it was mostly just a power and stat boost. Whereas this, you know, can because you can be anything. You know, you don't know what your opponent's gonna have for their
Yeah.
Terrestrialize.
As in, like, back when Megas were a thing, it's like, oh yeah, if you see the enemy with a Kangaskhan, you know pretty much damn well it's going to be a Mega Kangaskhan. Yeah, nah. Like, I do
Like,
think.
oh wow, look at this Pokemon trainer using a Mawile. That sure is fresh and exciting.
Yeah.
Oh look, a Gengar. I bet this will be a fun battle.
Yeah, like, kind of already know what you're getting into. Z
I'm
moves.
in. I'm in Kalos, and I see a Blaziken.
Yeah, they rectified that with Z moves, but Z moves kind of have a problem with me in that they're just kind of kill enemy button.
Yeah, there's just a win button, and considering most trainers in Alola barely had more than 3 Pokemon, you pretty much won the whole battle.
It really felt like you had a gun and they didn't.
Ironic, as the next gen did not have a gun.
Yeah,
Speaking of, um, I think like again, I'm not talking about how cool they look visually or how much like tokusatsu they are, because all of these gimmicks are like tokusatsu, except for ironically this one. So the newest one, Terrestrialize, is probably the gimmick I think is the least cool, but it's probably the one I think functionally and mechanically is the most interesting. Dynamaxing, I think, was a step in the right direction, uh, kind of giving you a more a more dynamic upgrade. You get 3 turns. Your
it's
moves have different abilities. You know, you're not insta win. You can still lose if you suck. If you pick a bad Pokemon and you get a bad type matchup.
yeah,
And I think it was more interesting for boss battles in the story mode. You know, kind of giving like the final Pokemon like basically boss kind of like Totem Pokemon, like a more powerful version. Um,
yeah.
but
It made gym
I think
fights feel more like boss battles.
yeah, which was good for the story, but I can understand it was probably terrible for the meta.
Yeah, yeah. I know from looking into the meta at the time that they were definitely contentious.
Yeah. Whereas this one just seems like a pretty straightforward, easy to understand gimmick that doesn't seem to dramatically sway the tide of battle so much so in the favor of the person using the gimmick. Like, that's the thing with all of these gimmicks is that, well, except for Megas, which were the best one, but then they decided to get rid of them, is that, most of the newer, like, Dynamaxing and Z moves especially are if you use this move, you just kind of win button.
Yeah,
Whereas you're gonna have to use more strategy and think harder when you use terastallizing, both you and the opponent. You know,
yeah,
you could terastallize to a type that doesn't even matter, and like, what's even the point?
yeah. I could turn my love disc into a fighting type, but the fight could just go on the same.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're gonna use strength and it's gonna die regardless. So which is to say that I think this is a good gimmick in that it's not going to be the sole defining factor of who wins the battle because you actually need to still use good strategy.
Yeah, and just the variety with it because different the same Pokemon can have different Terra types.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have any type, which is really where the variety and the spice is going to come in. And I think more than stuff like IVs and crap like that. This is okay. I'm a little dismissive of IVs because I don't care about like competitive Pokemon. But I mean, in a more dumbed down manner, it's like you can really customize your Pokemon. You can have
Yeah.
any kind of Pokemon you want.
Yeah, the thing about
By
IVs is that they mostly just turn out to be, alright, is your Pokemon good or bad?
yeah,
Whereas with terrestrialization, it's like, is a fighting type love disc necessarily worse than a flying type love disc? I don't know why love disc is my example.
it's the universal Pokemon, you know?
Yeah. You have to get your heart skills from somewhere.
Yeah. Imagining going out in the ocean and just kind of like it's like you're cracking open oysters or something, except you're just cracking open love discs and just taking their heart scans, just throwing the
Yeah.
corpses. Water, water. But yeah, uh, no, I think this is a has a lot of potential to like really have some creative ideas. I love that the first one they showed off, or one of the first ones they showed off, was the grass Sudowoodo, which really goes to show like, you know, that's something that, both lore wise and, franchise wise is something that's really funny because we all know about, Sudowoodo,
Yeah.
being a pretend tree. It's like now it's actually a tree to like actually add some interesting ideas, especially because of having like the move that, basically gives you a stab move for your that new type. Like,
Yeah.
if you're fighting a water Pokemon, with that Sudowoodo and you terrestrialize, it's like, yo, now you got a grass move and now you can win. It's like, oh, but what about what you just said about it being an instant kill? It's like, okay, but it's not like going to be a complete insta kill. It is still dependent on you actually having the right type situation and willing to risk your Pokemon starting out at a type disadvantage. You know,
Yeah. And
it's like I
can
didn't. It's
no.
similar to Mega Evolutions, which I didn't say Mega Evolutions were bad at all. I actually said out of all of them, I think they're the best gimmick overall.
Yeah.
But it's the closest thing to that while having a new twist on it.
Yeah. Megas had the problem that they were too restrictive on what Pokemon got them.
Yeah, and like it just kind of rebalanced. It didn't like fix the meta. It just rebalanced different Pokemon to the point where Pokemon who were never used wound up getting banned. And it's like,
Yeah.
bro, what was even the point? If I still can't get used, what's the point?
Yeah. Like, uh,
I came out of retirement just to warm the bench.
yeah, like the minutia of Mega Evolution is incredibly interesting because I do
Yeah,
think that of all the gimmicks so far, Megas kind of have the weirdest history with the brand
yeah.
because they stuck around but kind of didn't.
Yeah, no, it's like the one they tried to keep, but they just didn't. And then, like, obviously, if they weren't gonna keep that, then like, I think halfway in, before Ultra Sun and Moon even came out, I think we were like, all right, are Zemos even staying? Like, Megas were pretty much on their way out, so it's like,
Yeah,
what's the odds that Z moves are sticking around? And then
yeah,
Dynamax, it's
and it was
like, all
like
right, this isn't staying.
yeah, like the instant I saw the Dynamax, I'm like, oh yeah,
All right,
this is like a one game deal.
literally, it's a one game
Yeah,
deal since
it didn't
we're
even get
getting
a
smaller.
second game,
Yeah,
and
like,
that's my biggest problem with terrestrialization. And pretty much my only significant problem with it, outside of concern about the damage boost if you terrestrialize into the same type, it's just that like no matter how much I enjoy this, it's probably not going to stick around.
unless it's really well received and the meta actually responds really well to it. But even then, that couldn't save Mega Evolutions, and Mega Evolutions sold new toys, marketed old Pokemon, brought Charizard, the most underrated Pokemon, back, and that couldn't stay for more than a generation and a half. So as cool as terrestrializing is, they're gonna want to put a new thing on the commercials for Gen 10. So if terrestrializing comes back, it's at most gonna be a mostly ignored and secondary feature to whatever the new gimmick is.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. Now we keep splintering you know, all these metas now. It's like we have these retroactive metas that don't matter anymore. So it's really weird. It's almost like with trading cards, where it's like every 2 or 3 years you gotta completely freshen up and get a brand new Pokemon team. Like imagine if you built a dedicated team focused around Dynamaxing, and then you gotta start all over for a whole new game because Dynamaxing is not coming back
It
now.
just
Terrestrializing.
yeah, this is how temporary it all feels.
I mean, that can also be further expanded on by just this tie the lack of tie to the old Pokemon. Like we're well into the age now of not having every Pokemon coming back, and the sort of severance of bringing your old Pokemon forward, where it doesn't matter if you catch them all anymore. So it just overall feels like each game is just trying to be its own experience instead of part of a larger, you know, journey for the player, which
Hmm.
I guess isn't the worst thing. It's just kind of a bummer when you've been playing Pokemon as long as we have, and they've always kind of been connected to each other. Kind of felt
Yeah.
like you were rewarded for playing through, and now it's kind of like I don't want to say they discourage you from wanting to play the next one, but it almost feels like they kind of just discard the previous game and move on. Like
Yeah.
it feels like they're once like Sword and Shield are just in the trash now. Like Scarlet and Violet are here, Sword and Shield just don't matter. You will probably never need to go. Okay, I say that, but there actually was like a GameStop promotion for like Sword and Shield legendaries like a month ago. So slightly disregard that. But I don't know, that's like a minor gimme, and it's not even like new Pokemon. It's like old ones from like Gen 7 or something, like Volcanion and shit. So but like for the most part it's like, Sword and Shield are they're done. Oh, is there really going to be that much connectivity going on? Not really. They're kind of just they've had their time. They're done now.
Yeah.
Whereas there still was reason to have Gen 3 games and Gen 4 games into Gen 5, so on and so forth. They kind of added new experiences and they felt like they were integral to moving forward and completing the games.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, so it just feels like each gen kind of just happens on its own sort of sense now, and they're all kind of disparate from each other. So, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it is kind of a bummer if you've been with the franchise this long.
Yeah, like if you're invested in your old Pokemon, you're gonna well, you've already tangled with the reality that a lot of them are just going to be sitting in Pokemon Home for several years.
Yeah, considering I can't even access my Pokemon home, I'm not sure if my Pokemon that I collected since I was like 7 years old even exists anymore, or if they've just been deleted uh because of not paying a subscription fee because I can't even log in.
Your Pokemon were too fungible.
Yeah, so Pokemon that I caught like 20 years ago may just be gone now. I don't even know. And that just upsets me too much, but I can't. Like, what am I gonna do? They're stuck there now. They're being held hostage by the Pokemon Company.
Yeah, like I get it to an extent. Like carrying all these Pokemon to every game is cumbersome in a development standpoint. But they made their bed, so I don't really know how bad I can feel for them, especially if they're selling you the solution.
I mean, with the 3DS eShop going away soon and these old programs basically being retrofitted to be legacy content, it's only a matter of time before you straight up cannot bring your old Pokemon forward anymore.
Yeah.
which we all kind of knew it was eventually gonna have to go away. You know, even by the time that Pokemon Bank and stuff were coming out, we were kind of aware of what Nintendo was starting to do with some of their legacy software, some of their legacy services.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it was getting to that inevitable point. So we knew eventually it was going to, go away. But it's still sad to see.
Yeah.
But I guess it's better to pull the band-aid off now. Like
Yeah.
this is the point now where we care the least about it because they've made us care about it so little by souring it. Maybe that's the whole reason Pokemon Home was such a gross thing, was
Yeah.
to get us to not care so that we can. It was all part of a tactical maneuver to make the audience lose interest in it so much that they won't care when it's gone.
Yeah, that's why the National Dex probably pissed so many people off back in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
It was the process of just breaking.
It was gonna have to happen eventually, and it was never gonna be pretty. But and look, I'm not like trying to be delusional, say, oh, they made a smart decision. That was the right thing to do. Like, no, I'm just saying like it was gonna have to happen eventually. So in terms of how they could have handled it, that probably was like one of the better times. I mean, I should have done it earlier than now. Instead of letting it drag out this long. But better Gen 8 than Gen 9, I suppose.
Yeah. And if my options are to not care or buy a Pokemon Home subscription, maybe it's for the best that I don't care.
Yeah. Pokemon hasn't asked you to catch them all since like the 2000s. Except for whatever reason, I think Sword and Shield or something had like "Gotta catch 'em all" slogans back in its commercials. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like, do you want me to catch them all? It's not even possible anymore. Why are you saying that? Why are you making fun of me? Why are you lying to me? Gotta catch them all. So that was a fucking lie.
Yeah. Is my Fido going to make it into next game? Pokemon uh, Glue
What am I gonna
White and Tar Black?
What am I gonna do if I can bring my Smoliv into Pokemon Honey Mustard version?
Yeah.
If I can't bring Greavard into Pokemon Orange with a little bit of that brown shading into it version, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. It's like, that's just how it is now. Much like how the experience system is just going to be how it was in Sword and Shield forever.
I knew we were gonna get there. I knew this was coming.
Yeah, you know, it it was an inevitability. Like, as soon as they took away the option from Sword and Shield, like when Game Freak makes a decision, they do not back down, no matter how poorly received that decision is.
Yeah, they kind of just assume they know what we want best, which I mean, I guess they're the ones making the game, but it almost feels like an act of stubborn defiance now.
Yeah,
It's like, what are they even gaining by restricting our ability? Why can't I make, like, if I want to make the game air quote worse for myself by not having it, like, if you think this is truly an option to make the game better, why can't I be allowed to decide if I want to make my game experience more difficult or worse? You know?
yeah,
Like, this just feels like obstinate, stubborn, childish behavior to not provide the option.
yeah. It,
Like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. We know what Pokemon's like without XP share. It's not even that long ago, you know? We hated the fact that the XP changed in X and Y. but at least you could still turn it off.
And
But
you took that away come Gen 8.
yeah, which is only like it's only been like 5 years since we've had that option. You know, like with Ultra Sun and Moon. You know,
Yeah.
it hasn't been that long. We, you know, we still know what Pokemon games were like with that in mind. So why'd they double down? Why'd they triple down? Let's just hope this game's actually balanced for with the whole Let's Go feature.
Yeah. Had the games been designed in a way that it accounts for all the experience you can get, I wouldn't mind so bad. But, Sword and Shield break if you spend any appreciable amount of time not progressing the story.
Yeah,
Like, to me, the only way to get make that game's difficulty feel natural is if you just shotgun it down and not pay attention to any side content.
yeah. If you just steamroll through the game as fast as possible, like you're a child that doesn't have an attention span, like the producers of the game believe you are, as they constantly say in interviews, which is why they don't add side content anymore.
Yeah. And oh boy, in a future episode, I will get into that more when we start ranking or just discussing past games. But I am really interested in seeing how the progression is going to feel in this game.
Speaking of progression, so Joe, what do you think is going to be the way that you are going to progress through this game? Which of the three campaign styles do you think you are going to try to progress through first? Are you going to be tackling Victory Road, the classic, the Path of Legends against the Trial Pokemon, the Big Boss Pokemon, or are you going to be handling Starfall Street versing off against Team Star? Naturally, we're probably going to be doing a little bit of everything, but do you think you are going to tackle a particular set of challenges before the other?
All right, so I guess this gets into the point that how I'm going to play the game. Is I'm probably going to spend a significant amount of my early game just kind of exploring
Yeah,
and just doing content as I run into it. I'm going to get lost
yeah,
and just get the Pokemon I just encounter on my journey. I want to make it feel extremely personal.
yeah. Which is a good thing about this game is it's going to let you have that sort of personal experience this
Because,
time.
yeah,
It's going to really feel like the classic days, the days that people talk about with rose-tinted nostalgia of telling stories about, kind of like, the modern resurgence we've had with Dark Souls. Games that really have a story you can tell people, where it's like, Dark Souls is one of the, you could talk for like ever about how
yeah,
Dark Souls is like a perfect game, and I can as well, despite it not being, like my number one or anything quite
yeah.
like that.
It is my
It is
number
a,
3.
yeah, but like it is a phenomenal game, and it's one of the few games in recent memory that really is a game that's about the stories, and I feel like this is going to be a game like that if it does it right, where it's really like talking about what
What
you
you
did and
did,
just getting around with your friends and just telling them what you did in your Pokemon game. I mean, yeah, you could say Animal Crossing was like that too, but I think you get the gist. Like, I'm not gonna list every single game that manages to evoke that feeling,
yeah.
but
Am I going to be in the field looking for things? I bite off more than I can chew, and I'm hanging on with only my Celia left to defend me.
yeah, when you get hit with explosion by a terastallized freaking I don't know,
A terrestrialized
electrode.
coughing.
Yeah,
This coughing's a fire type. Run.
yeah, just like the weird, silly stuff like that that's gonna happen. The weird, I don't want to say jank, but like just the strange quirks of a game
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, happenstances. Like, what if like we face off against each other with our teams halfway through,
Hmm.
and I just run in with my Zangoose who knows X scissor. Like,
That is gonna be something cool and something I'm interested in if we're actually gonna try to do is this game seems to be is really dialing in on the multiplayer, like cooperative play, which is very unique for Pokemon, very unique for Nintendo. Outside of Splatoon, they haven't really been good at having uh the ability for you to be doing cooperative play with other
yeah,
players. And yes, I'm aware of Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm not changing my stance on what I just said.
yeah. But yeah,
Splatoon's like the only game that lets you do that effectively.
imagine having the challenge runs you can make up with multiplayer.
Oh, if they could, yeah, if they could find a way to do like double battles or something incorporated, especially with raids, like yeah, this could genuinely be a really great social experience. Like,
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of potential. And while I'm not the most invested in the multiplayer elements, if it's done well, it's one of those. I just might not see the vision, but I'm there and I have the chance to see the vision,
yeah.
mainly because I'm so clouded by what I saw in Sword and Shield. Make sure you push Y to turn it on your multiplayer so you can actually do multiplayer. You can dig through 18 menus. Bro, Pokemon's been so. It feels like ever since. I think X and Y was the last gen where multiplayer was like easy and made sense. Because honestly, I actually remember us using
X and
multiplayer in X and Y a lot.
X and Y had a lot of problems. Its
Yeah.
multiplayer was not one of them.
Yeah, that was like the gen where I think we were doing like the most multiplayer stuff.
Yeah,
It like the what was it, the X communicator or like
yeah.
the little
The
that thing.
SSG or something.
Yeah, like the little like the yellow menu on the bottom and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like it was really well handled. It was simple to the point. It was really well done. Sun and Moon had that weird thing that looked like the Street Pass Plaza, and it was downright awful.
yeah,
And I don't even remember what Sword and Shield had. I don't want to pretend I remember what Sword and Shield had. Oh.
yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, if this can be even like I've just kind of mentally checked out of the idea of even considering cooperative multiplayer Pokemon stuff, just because I'm so used to them fucking all of it up. So, but I'm willing to give it a shot if it's done well.
They showed it off and like, yeah. Who knows? Huh. Is there anything else to talk about?
Do you have there's a couple brief things. I guess first, do you have any idea who you want to use on your team?
Like, I think about a few Pokemon that I want to use. Like, probably my starter. Um, I want to use a Girafarig. Um, I, I don't know. Like, not a lot of new Pokemon have been jumping out at me. Like, if Cyclizar, maybe.
Yeah, it's all gonna depend on how Cyclizar is obtained. So yeah.
Yeah. But as I said, I kind of want to feel like I'm getting lost, and then I like find a Pokemon that I really want.
Yeah.
Like, what if I do get attacked by a Wingull with?
A dragon type terrestrial as a Wingull.
Yeah, what if Wingull breaks out the Dragon Claw and I'm like, oh boy, I want that.
You have a thing with Wingles. You have a history of Wingles.
I have a history with Wingull. It is
I mean,
it is like my most positive memory about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that involved actually playing it. Route 104, I get like the grass beneath me started shaking, and I ran into a level 15 Wingull up against a level 8 Mudkip. It was a slaughter.
yeah, yeah, brutal.
Air
The
cutter
legend of the legend of
Wingull.
The Killer Wingle. The Slayer. For me, all I know is that Mareep's been announced, so I will be using Mareep in this one. It's just I've been doing that every time Mareep's usable. Like, I guess Mareep's might be my favorite Pokemon by that logic, but like it's just a thing I do. I just see Mareep and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna use Mareep
Yeah,
every time. Every gen that's usable, I've had a Mareep on my team.
yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. I might want to use that Donphan, couple other Pokemon I've heard about through the grapevine. Uh, yeah. Uh, might want to hop to using one of them. I don't know.
Oh, maybe I'll really like Smolive's evolution or something.
Olive Garden guy. Got a fucking breadstick. Fucking breadstick.
Eh, I,
Which
I
version are you getting, by the way?
I'm getting Scarlet.
I will also be getting Scarlet. And you too at home can win a copy of Pokemon Scarlet if you go to your local retail store and pay $63.96 after U.S. sales tax in New Jersey, and buy your game. Because we can't give one away. But maybe next year. Maybe
Yeah,
next Pokemon Gen we can give one away if the show
yeah.
goes somewhere.
If you subscribe to that notion, let us know.
Bro, did I dox ourselves by telling them what state we live in? Oh no! They found out the 2% chance of what state I live in. Now I'm really screwed. They found out I live in the 8th most populated state in the US. I'm done for. Now they gotta find out I live at 308 Negro Royal Lane.
They're gonna find out that I live in Nunya. Uh,
Oh. So overall thoughts. You think you think this is gonna be a good one? Do you think this is gonna be the Pokemon game we've been waiting decades, not decades, but a couple of generations for? We've been waiting. This is gonna be the first.
I,
If
I,
it, I would like this to be the first good 3D generation of Pokemon that's like uncompromisingly good.
yeah, I'm hoping it's great. I'm at least expecting it to stand out.
Yeah. For what is right, be brave, get ready to fight, hold on. We're friends for life. Yeah, I think this could really be a great one. But yeah, you have opened my eyes to the fact that this could still suck.
Yeah,
I'd like it not to. Because I don't know, I think if this game turns out bad, especially after how good Arceus turned out, I don't know if I could support the franchise anymore going forward, you know?
eh,
Like stuff like Brilliant Diamond and Sword and Shield like really soured me. Like I think that's also part of why I didn't play Legends when it came out is I was like I don't want to financially support this company anymore after all the crap they've been doing.
yeah,
Now Legends has won good graces back, but you know, one more misstep and I really don't know if I can continue with this.
yeah,
It's tough. You know, Pokemon's built me my whole life, but at some point, I just have to say, you know, this franchise isn't it's just not doing it for me anymore.
yeah.
So
Wouldn't be
let's
the
see what
first
happens.
time I dropped the franchise because it went in a direction I didn't like.
It feels like a setup to something the audience should know, but we're still too new to have that established base of references like that.
Ah. soon you'll find out what that means.
Well, anything else to add today?
Nah, I think that's it.
Well, this episode I think is going to be pretty fun. I hope you guys enjoy. And also, if you want to find out more about other franchises where you can raise some monsters, uh, last week Joe posted a video about a Monster Rancher. His one of his favorite franchises, a tier
Yeah,
list video going over his favorites, and we wanted to know sort of you guys' feedback to that. If you guys are liking the video, if you want us to do more of those, if it's because you hate me, like just let us know like what about that video has
yeah,
been really kind of setting you guys off, and we were definitely willing to do more of those kinds of episodes if the podcast ain't enough for you guys and you need more from us. More tier
yeah,
lists if you want us to do more, because we have a lot of ideas for tier lists.
yeah,
But you guys let us know what kind of content you want us to make. We might even try to do another tier list sometime soon. I ain't making guarantees, but we have been thinking about maybe doing another ones fairly soon. So,
yeah.
but in the meantime, we hope you guys enjoy. Let us know in the comments which starter you're gonna use, which version you're gonna use, which thing you want to tell us about the game that'll give our metrics better numbers, help the algorithm.
Yeah. And like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And I'll see you back at the table.
Bye.